are going to try to find a way to unlock the rule, and I think it's possible. Yeah, when I was a member of the judiciary, I saw all the abuses of the FBI, the terrible abuses over and over and over. I went to the SCIF and got the confidential briefing from sort of the other perspective on that to understand the necessity of Section 702 of FISA and how important it is for national security, and it gave me a different perspective.
That was House Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday, speaking to a group of after a group of nearly 20 Republicans voted against party leadership, and the leadership backed this bill to renew a controversial federal government surveillance tool known as Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA. Ahead of the vote, former President Trump, writing this on Truth Social, "Kill FISA. It was illegally used against me and many others. They spied on my campaign." House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, who will be joining this program during the 8 a.m. hour, so join us for that. He is now inviting FBI Director Christopher Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland to testify before his committee this summer. FISA is expected to be among the topics discussed there. Joining me now is Texas Congressman Keith Self. He's a member of the House Veterans Affairs and Foreign Affairs Committees. He's also a retired Army Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel. Congressman, thanks very much for being here this morning. Your thoughts on this FISA renewal?
Well, first of all, I'm on the same team as those 19 that voted against that bill yesterday. A different tactic. I want people to be on the record to vote for or against a warrant when they start surveilling U.S. citizens. We didn't get that vote yesterday because they took down the rule, but that's what I want. I want to see my colleagues in the House vote for or against. Are they going to uphold the Constitution and require a warrant before you surveil, you basically spy on U.S. citizens or not?
Yeah.
I think that, to me, that is the constitutional issue. We need the constitutional protections in this bill before we approve it.
Well, maybe we would be having a different conversation had the FBI not had their awful behavior by spying on American citizens because they didn't like Donald Trump. Former Trump campaign officials and advisors, Carter Page and George Papadopoulos, have both told me directly that federal authorities abused FISA and spied on them. Watch this.
You had no idea that you were actually being surveilled?
Yeah, absolutely. My conversations with him intensified right the month before my illegitimate FISA warrant in September 2016, when all these defamatory articles are being placed by the DNC. Judge Deary approved my final FISA warrant in June of 2017. They were illegally breaking into my residences and taking unauthorized photos of my personal belongings. At the very same time, they're also paying this guy who was involved in the Russia hoax and helped start the Russia hoax.
I had absolutely nothing to do with the Russians, but what the informants were actually telling me, I've thought was treason. Donald Trump and myself in the campaign had nothing to do with whatever these people mentioned, and that I love America.
And that's the exculpatory evidence that they did not present to the FISA court.
That's absolutely correct.
Yes.
They were cherry-picking strange information.
So, Congressman, how do you get a handle on this?
Well, there were 278,000 violations. We need to realize the number is huge. How we get a handle on it is we require a warrant from the FISA court before you surveil a U.S. citizen. That's the minimum requirement. Now, this bill is also a dramatic expansion of FISA into counter-drug and so forth and so on. But the constitutional protections are my bottom line, and I think the bottom line for those 19 and others in the Republican conference, minimum requirement.
Yeah, you just said 278,000 what?
Those are violations against U.S. citizens.
Wow.
Those were 278,000 violations by the FBI. Do we wonder why the FBI's credibility is low?
Yeah, and that is why there is this massive debate on whether or not to renew FISA, because it's obviously being used against the American citizens. Texas Governor, meanwhile, Greg Abbott posted photos on X showing Texas National Guard personnel reinforcing border barriers and adding more razor wire, sir. This is in El Paso. They also conducted airboat patrols along the Rio Grande. Abbott writes this: illegal crossings continue to decrease in Texas because of the border barriers and the resistance that we have built. So it's working, Congressman, although the White House is fighting them tooth and nail to take that razor wire down and to not be allowed to arrest anybody who breaches the border illegally. Is this the right tact in terms of this razor wire? What else can be done to secure the border?
Well, we could do a number of things, but frankly, the razor wire is working, Maria. We have seen the cartel move the flow over to Arizona and California, so the governor is right. The crossings are dropping in Texas. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be serious about it, and Governor Abbott is serious, and he's making a difference. And I think the federal government ought to abandon their open border policy, and they ought to start supporting Texas. And I appreciate the governors across the state that are supporting Governor Abbott with various resources, both personnel and others, to support Governor Abbott, because the states are leading the way now in securing the United States, certainly on the Texas border.
Yeah, even as the White House fights Abbott every step of the way. Congressman, you're now in your final push in terms of legislative action until right before the elections. Right. You've got now until what, Memorial Day or so. What is the priority? What gets done here? And I know obviously the Democrats want to push through this Ukraine funding bill, $95 billion. How will you vote there?
I've said all along that unless we secure the southern border, I will not be voting for Ukraine support. The southern border, we must secure our own border before we go after to support any international borders. Frankly, Europe is starting to step up more and more. The Czech Republic found 800,000 artillery rounds for them. Germany and France are starting to step up. So if we do everything, if the U.S. does everything on Ukraine, Europe will be happy to sit on its duff. But if we hold off, as we have been doing, Europe is stepping up. That's the right solution. Europe needs to defend its own borders in this case, and they have not been.
All right, Congressman, we'll be watching your work. Thanks very much for being here this morning.